or science critic. And what did he say? Well, he had something to say about the scientific method. And he says that something in the scientific method, the important part of the scientific method is what they call falsification, which came from Mr. Karl Popper, a supposedly philosopher of physics, whatever that is, philosopher of science. Okay, let's listen to him. This is what he's got to say about science and whether falsification plays any role whatsoever in it. Here he goes. Give me a second. Okay. Here he goes. Listen carefully.
The questions and issues to be addressed in this rebuttal include: can an equation explain what caused a phenomenon? And does Popper falsification have anything to do with science?
An equation can tell you why things happen. If you want to know why things break when they fall from a 10-story building, an equation can help you with that. And the thing is, equations allow for specificity. If you do not have any specificity, it makes it very difficult to test your ideas. So you pretty much need equations to be able to test ideas, and if you can't test ideas, then that makes that idea unfalsifiable, and as we've discussed, unfalsifiable ideas are irrational.
Of course, if he doesn't define what irrational means, and he just says anything that's unfalsifiable is irrational, that's absolute nonsense. It has no validity. He hasn't defined what irrationality is. But we're going to skip that for today. We're just going to get to the following. Here you have an equation: force equals mass times acceleration. Okay, does that tell you why the box came up in the case of the pulley? Does it tell you how the window broke? If you just say force mass times acceleration, someone gives you that equation and says force equals mass times acceleration. What have they explained with that equation? Okay, and there you have the spoon falling to the floor. Again, a force, a mysterious force. You still don't know the mechanism. So no, mathematics can only describe, and a description is not a mechanism. It doesn't give you any idea what caused something to happen. And as far as falsification, we don't falsify anything in science, but here's Mr. Popper's synthesis. Okay, this is what Popper believed in. This is what he proposed for science. Okay, and Popper says he believed that scientific knowledge is provisional, that it's an ongoing process. Again, that's what people just memorize and just repeat. They say it's an ongoing process, the best we can do at the moment. And so they never answer the questions because they say, well, we still don't know, we're still investigating, and science is just a process of investigation. That's all it is. And all they do is just measure, get equations. They say they have ever more accurate equations, and they have no explanation, no rational explanations whatsoever. Okay? They always explain with the motion of concepts. That's why they're irrational. And it says Popper is known for his attempt to refute the classical positivist account of the scientific method by replacing induction with a falsification principle. Okay, what is the falsification principle? Well, it's proposed by Karl Popper, is a way of demarcating science from non-science. Okay, so the guy who doesn't do falsification is a non-scientist. Okay, it suggests that for a theory to be considered scientific, it must be able to be tested and conceivably proven false. Proven false to whom? To the Pope? I mean, these people are talking about belief. They're not talking about science. So Popper had no idea whatsoever. Okay, he thought that science had something to do with belief, with proving, with convincing people. And so he's saying it's got to be tested. Okay, tested for what? So that I can convince you that my theory is correct, meaning belief. Meaning I'm going to twist your arm. It's got nothing to do with science. It's got to do with belief, and belief is religion, not science. So what Karl Popper defined was the religion, not science. For example, the hypothesis that all swans are white can be falsified by observing a black swan. Okay? Yeah, it's a hypothesis because you're making an assumption. But these people are talking about theories, and they call that a hypothesis. For Popper, science should attempt to disprove a theory rather than attempt to continually support theoretical hypotheses. Okay, and again, what Popper talked about is not science. He talked about religion. Religion is about belief, about proving, about testing. Testing for what? For verification. Verification for what? To convince. Convince for what? To prove, to persuade, to convince, convert, recruit. It has to do with belief. So what Popper defined has nothing to do at all with science. And yet descriptions are not science, explanations are science. It doesn't take any mental capacity, any mental effort, any energy, to describe something. So the pencil fell to the floor, great. And I do the experiment, I describe it, I can tell you how fast it went, what the acceleration is. I still don't know why. I have no cause, no mechanism. That's where you have to break your brain. That's where you have to try to visualize the invisible world of Mother Nature.